Okay, Pickle. Let's talk quarterbacks.
Yes.
Everybody likes talking quarterbacks, and so that's what we're going to do. Everybody likes talking quarterbacks because it's easy, right?
Yeah.
It's easy to watch quarterbacks and know when quarterbacks are doing well.
Yeah, it's not a lineman where if
Right.
you've never really done it, then it's a little bit harder to tell what they're doing.
It is very often hard to tell if to the layman,
Mm-hmm.
to the average Joe Sixpack
Yeah.
who's watching football on a Sunday or Saturday,
Mhm.
it's often hard to tell if a cornerback's having a good day.
Yeah, or like even the difference between a tight end and a
Yes.
wide receiver.
Yes.
You can tell with the wide receiver because they're down the field out by themselves. The tight end's throwing in a bunch of blocks that you
Yeah.
don't see. All of that,
Yeah.
you know.
Quarterbacks, though, are easy.
People also follow the ball.
Yes, that's
It's
exactly.
real easy to
it's
follow the
really easy to
ball.
follow the ball, and if you keep your eye on the ball, you're going to be talking about quarterbacks.
Quarterback. Mm-hmm.
So our friend Bill Connally, of course, Texas Football Today's own Bill Connally over there at ESPN.com. He has a piece up on Texas football, or no, he doesn't.
No.
He has it up on ESPN.com.
that is not accurate
Boy, I wish.
information.
Boy, I wish. On ESPN.com, where he ranks all the top 60 college quarterbacks of the 21st century.
I'm interested as to how he got 60. Like, why 60?
I don't know.
That's that's an answer I would like.
But more basically, what he did was he thought. I don't know why he got to 60. He probably could have done 100. I bet he was just like, if I do more than this, I'm going to die.
Yeah.
So he has his top 60 up, and of course he's got number one. I should warn you, is Baker Mayfield.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks Baker Mayfield was the best quarterback of this
All right.
century so far. I think that's fair.
Fair.
By the
yeah.
way, when we talk about Texas quarterbacks, we're only going to talk about guys who finished at Texas schools. So, for example, like Kyler Murray is number 7.
Right.
We're not going to count Kyler Murray as a Texas quarterback
Right.
because he didn't finish his
transferred,
career there.
yeah.
That's how we're going to finish. Just like we'll consider Joe Burrow to be an LSU quarterback, not an Ohio State quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So, on his list, he does have a smattering of Texas quarterbacks. In fact, of the 60, 9 of them are from Texas colleges. So let's go ahead and throw up the graphic. Here is what he's got as his top Texas quarterbacks of the last 2 decades. And so now I've numbered them 1 through 9. I will tell you that it starts with the top Texas quarterback, Vince Young, was number 3 on his list, behind Cam Newton and Baker Mayfield. Robert Griffin III is his second Texas college quarterback. That was number 10 on his list. Colt McCoy checks in at number 12 on his list.
Interesting.
Johnny Manziel checks in at number 13, one spot behind him. Next up, Case Keenum from Houston. He is at number 22 on the list. Graham Harrell is at number 26 on the list, I think. Oh, wait, no, hold on. I lied. Where is Graham? Number 32.
Non-truther.
I know. Number 32 is Graham Harrell. Then you have to drop all the way down to number 52, I believe, or 54 to find Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is at number 54. And then number 59 and number 60 are Andy Dalton at TCU and Kevin Cobb at Houston. So look, let's start with this. Let's start with the positioning statement. I actually think that's a pretty good list. I don't have a huge amount of complaints here. I think there is a fair argument to move Johnny Manziel up. But I think one of the things is that Colt McCoy did do it for longer. Johnny Manziel basically had that incredible 2012 year, a pretty good 2013 year, and that was it. And they went to the NFL draft.
Yeah, I would think, too, that by looking just at this list, it seems like there might have been some heavy weight on the did you make it to a national championship type
I think that's
of
certainly
thing.
part of it.
And I think that maybe that's why he went up, because I feel like that would be the one that most people would be pretty ticked about.
For Robert Griffin III, he makes a really interesting. I probably don't need to tell you why Vince Young is number 1.
Yeah.
Robert Griffin III, he makes a really interesting point. He says that Robert Griffin III was Baylor's Andrew Luck. That he was a guy who took the program and really revolutionized it. They had not had a winning season in 13 years before he showed up. It's easy to forget. And then, of course, they won 10 games, and he was spectacular, won the Heisman as well, got in the winter edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, I should say. Case Keenum, I think, is an interesting one that people probably forget too much.
Yeah.
But Case Keenum was awesome for Houston. He was perfect for both Art Briles and Kevin Sumlin. More than 5,000 yards. He has 19,000. He is of course the all-time leading passer in college football history as far as career passing yards. He has 2,000 more than anyone else. That's crazy.
That is
so
nuts.
Case Keenum, and that's why I think you're right. There's certainly like an element of like you're tied to your success. That like Houston with Case Keenum was pretty good, but they weren't like elite. They weren't contending for national championships. And so I think from a numbers perspective, there's an argument that Case Keenum should be higher.
Right.
Graham Harrell's kind of in that same boat too. Graham Harrell's 4th all-time in college football passing yards, right? But he checks in at number 6 on the list. Mahomes at number 7. I think obviously what he's done at the next level, I think has overshadowed what he did at Texas Tech. He threw 40. He was incredible, but they only went 12-13 with Pat Mahomes at the helm. Andy Dalton, I'm glad he got on this list. I think Andy Dalton is woefully underrated.
Yeah.
Maybe not necessarily on this list. I don't know if I'd move him up, but I'm glad that he's getting the recognition because Andy Dalton was really, really good. And the numbers, I think, don't bear that out. Like, he only threw for 10,000 yards. And I know that sounds like, oh, my gosh, he only threw for 10,000 yards. But, like, that's, like, for example, he has the same, essentially the same number of passing yards as, let me see if I can find this. He basically has the same number of passing yards as like Cody Kessler at USC or Jared Lorenzen at Kentucky.
Yeah.
But I think that what he brought from a leadership perspective and being that steady hand at TCU deserves some recognition. I'm glad he made that list.
I think that you can put him close in the same category of RG3 by just saying he kind of put TCU on the map when he did that. Because realistically, I mean, TCU was, a decent program, but it was like that's when people really started going, oh, okay, there's another school in Texas.
So, and then there's one more in number 6. He starts off the list with Kevin Cobb, the quarterback at Houston. And again, a guy I think is really forgotten and I'm glad he got acknowledged here because he was like the OG Art Briles air raid quarterback.
Yeah.
He was like the first, and he helped lead Houston to their first 10-win season in 16 years there in 2006. So yeah, look, overall, I don't have a ton of arguments here. Now, I do want to say, and I'm not necessarily saying they should be on the list. I want to be very clear that I'm not necessarily saying they should be on the list.
Give him an honorable mention spot.
Here's a couple of guys that I think deserve an honorable mention on this list, okay? One of them, Mason Fine.
Yes. If
Mason
you want to talk
Fine,
about a catalyst that brought a program up.
Mason Fine is 28th in career passing yards. And you want to talk about a guy who gave a program a boot in the butt to get them going. I think Mason Fine, again, I'm not saying he should be on that top 60.
No.
I'm saying if we were making a Texas list,
I
want him to be in consideration for that because I think he was really spectacular there for them. Another guy that I think gets really just grossly overlooked is Chase Clement, the quarterback at Rice from 05 to 08.
Yeah.
He was a steady hand for them. I thought he was very solid for them. He has, how about this? He threw the same number of touchdown passes as Matt Leinart in college. He threw more touchdown passes than Cliff Kingsbury in college. Okay?
Yeah.
He threw more touchdown passes than Geno Smith. He has two fewer touchdown passes in college than Chase Daniel. Okay? Chase Clement was awesome.
Yeah.
And I think he deserves a little bit of credit as well if we were making a Texas list. And another guy, and I know that this is a little bit off the beaten path, let's put some respect on Trevor Vitito's name. Trevor Vitito at UTEP from 07 to 10. And again, I know that part of it is that they just weren't very good. Right? I mean, from 07 to 10, they go 4-8. He goes 4-8, 6-7, 5-7. Is that right? No, I skipped over 4-8, 5-7, 4-8, 6-7. Like, they just weren't very good. But that's like by no fault of Trevor Vitito, who is 30th in college football history in passing yards. He is 31st in passing touchdowns. Trevor Vitito was really, really good there. And so, look, those are a couple of honorable mentions that I would want to throw on there. Again, I'm not saying they should be on the top 60 all time because you do have to have a place for Cam Newton.
Yeah,
and you do have to have a place
for Baker Mayfield.
For Trevor Lawrence.
Yep.
Right? Like, I get it, and Timmy Chang and all those guys. What I will say is that if you were making a top 10 list of just college football quarterbacks in the state of Texas in the last 20 years, I think there's other guys that get in there. This may be a little bit, I think that this is going to draw the ire of some. Does Sam Ehlinger deserve a spot there?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, he was spectacular. I also think, and I know he wasn't the quarterback for very long, but I thought Bryce Petty was really, really good at Baylor.
Yeah, they brought that.
Bryce Petty was exceptional at Baylor.
Someone said Trevon Boykin.
Trevon Boykin was very good. Obviously, it didn't end particularly elegantly there at TCU, but I think that
he was fun to watch.
He was a guy that really took them to the next level. It's an interesting piece. You should go read it on ESPN.com. It's called Ranking the Top. Ranking. What is it called? Oh my gosh! Scroll. Ranking college football's top 60 quarterbacks of the 2000s. And to take that from a Texas perspective, I think it's an interesting thought exercise.
I really like too with the names that were listed. I really appreciate the fact that you can tell that he did not, because you mentioned it when you talked about Patrick Mahomes. Obviously, Bill literally did it where he was talking about college quarterbacks and only focused on their time at college. Because I feel like so many times too many lists end up looking at either what they did beforehand or what they did afterwards, and it kind of says, oh, well, he just, won the Super Bowl and then played in the Super Bowl again. He's got to be, like, he had to have been super good in college, and it's like, he was, but he is not better than Johnny Manziel was in college, even though Manziel didn't do anything afterwards.
Right, yeah, I think it's easy to get starry-eyed with guys like Mahomes, right? But like in college, or I mean, it's easy to, and it's weird because
even
like,
Vince Young.
Yeah,
I mean.
but the thing is, I do think that he has to that when you make a list like this, you have to balance a few different things. One is like obviously what you did from like a numbers perspective.
Yes.
One of them is like how your team did, because if you're throwing for 1,000,000 yards a game, but your team's losing every game, like, are you particularly relevant? Are you relevant? And then also, like, can you kind of block out what you've done since then? Because, there are guys that, like Vince Young is kind of the reverse of that. Vince Young was a guy who was absolutely spectacular in college. He gets to the NFL, it doesn't work. Johnny Manziel's kind of the same way too. Absolutely spectacular in college, gets to the pros, doesn't really work out. So it's an interesting kind of way of balancing all of those different things, and I think it's a pretty good list. I'm not just saying that because Bill's a
again, if you want to put the fourth option in there, like we said, of how did you shape the program too, like that was a big one with like RG3.
And
there's so many factors that go into this list. That's what makes it fun.
Program impact.